News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Okay, so we'll hopefully in a moment be speaking to the Trump surrogate and veteran and ambassador for Trump, etc., in just a moment or two. But first, wanted to get into the latest on polling. There is some bad news for Team Kamala, and there's a couple bad news pieces for Kamala. Number one, she did not get a bounce. It's unequivocal across the board from pollsters on the left, even the far left. You'll hear MSNBC News pollster in just a moment. It is not good. But I want to get to the worst piece of news, I think, today is from the revered pollster Nate Silver. This guy is like gold to them. And here's what the latest Nate Silver forecast says today. Chance of winning, Trump, 56.7% chance of Trump winning, according to revered pollster Nate Silver. It's the highest since July 31st. So I think that if you do the numbers, is that before Biden dropped out? That's insane. I don't know, but that's insane. Okay, it is Trump, 56.7% chance of winning, Harris, 43%. The swing states' chances of winning, where it all matters. That's all where it really matters. Pennsylvania, Trump is, wow, what the heck? 14-percentage point Trump advantage of the chance of winning in Pennsylvania. 57-43. Chance of winning for Trump over Harris in Pennsylvania. That's all that matters. All that matters is secondarily Georgia. And that is insane. Trump is almost 30 points as far as his chances of winning. 30 points almost above Kamala in Georgia right now, according to Nate Silver. He's the Democrats' revered pollster. Okay, we do have Gunnery Sergeant Jessie Jane Duff, who is the 2024 Campaign Executive Director, Veterans for Trump, and a Trump surrogate as well. Jessie Jane Duff, how are you? Good to talk to you on the Chris Kroc Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for inviting me. This is such an honor to be there.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. Okay, lots of questions. Okay, so Kamala just finally agreed to the debate rules officially today. I don't know if you caught that. Why do you think she doesn't want the mics muted? Why do you think she wants to bring her notes? Why do you think she wants to sit down? What do you think about all that? What's going on there?
Well, I think most of us have already figured it out. Like if you watched it, we've seen several replays of her Pence debate.
Yeah.
And as long as somebody is correcting her or interrupting her, she has that way of making it appear that they're harassing her as a woman.
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm still speaking. And it's very
yes.
condescending,
yes.
very patronizing,
yes.
but it frustrates the man because they know darn well that they have to interject because she's saying something either grossly inaccurate, the flagrant lie, or inappropriate.
Right.
But so it works to President Trump's advantage that they're muted because, the natural frustration somebody could feel is now not going to happen, which she likes to have happen. She wants to get them upset. She wants to antagonize, and that way the man can stick his foot in his mouth, so to speak.
Right.
So this is all prevented. And I do think that what we're dealing with President Trump now is a man that's been very refined over the last 8 years. This is not the debates of 2016, nor are they the debates of 2020. He knows exactly what game they're trying to play, so he's going to be very measured, and he already knows the remarks that she's going to make because she's made them on social media, and he already has his rebuttals to everything.
What's she's going to say horrible things like, oh, you were found responsible or liable for sexual assault, and I'm a prosecutor. You were found you're a convicted felon. I'm a prosecutor. What's a good way to?
It's going to be very easy. All he has to say is, well, we all know that many prosecutors have an agenda because that's demonstrated with your record of prosecuting a man that was found innocent, and $13 million had to be paid out to his family in California. But you thought it was you rather mocked him upon that prosecution. Not only that, we know there's prosecutors that have an agenda. We have you on tape saying that you can mark somebody down to a misdemeanor just to frustrate them. They have to stand in line. They have to pay a fine. They're embarrassed. They're humiliated in their community. And then 2 weeks later, you can drop the charges. We know that prosecutors can manipulate the system because you did it. And we know that the White House coordinated this because on the 3 days after I announced that I was running for president, 3 things happened. Nathan Wade went up to the White House and spoke for 8 hours. Michael Colangelo, the number 2 at the Department of Justice, was sent up to help Alvin Bragg prosecute me. And the third thing was Merrick Garland appointed Jack Smith as special counsel, which was not authorized outside of the realm of Congress. So 3 things happened by this White House on the exact same day, 3 days after I announced my running for president in November 15th of 2023. You cannot tell me that there aren't prosecutors out there that have political motivations because you have demonstrated that yourself. It's a very simple rebuttal. Question her own credential as a prosecutor.
Now, Jesse, you look at an amazing little contrast here between what Biden was doing and what Kamala was doing on the day that an American was put on his knees in a tunnel in Gaza and shot in the back of his head. Biden was sunning himself on the beach. Kamala was spreading her message of joy. And when Biden was asked about his first responses that Israel is somehow the problem here, not Hamas, not what is this going to be brought up in the debate, you think?
I'm sure of it because Kamala Harris went on to say that there must be a ceasefire. And I am stunned that you're not advocating for the full release of every single hostage and to lay down their arms. Instead, you're trying to take this role of let's aim for a ceasefire when you're not getting rid of Hamas. We're talking about one of the top terrorist organizations in the entire world. That's Iranian-backed Hezbollah. The Iranians that have backed Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis. So this goes right back to Kamala Harris, along with the Biden administration, because they, along with the Obama administration, had sent billions of dollars to Iran. So these weak-kneed responses are placating voters that have no interest of the United States at heart. They're trying to placate a group of people that have essentially come into this country and now are trying to reshape this country. We have to stand against terrorism. If you come to this country, you adjust to us. We don't modify for you. For you to suggest that Israel is not our ally and we have to eradicate Israel, if you're a citizen in this United States or you're a green card holder and you moved here to say that, you're wrong. You're flat out wrong. You knew the conditions in which you came to this country that has given you the blanket of freedom in which you sleep every single night. So this is going to be something that President Trump's going to be able to hit her hard with. He knows Israel probably better than she ever will. He has a positive relationship with Netanyahu. And he would sit there and say, your own boss came out and admonished Netanyahu when we had an American killed. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you to do that when we know that these hostages have had little or no help from this White House because you allowed this to fester for how long? And you were the ones that told them, don't go into Rafah. Don't go into Rafah.
Yes.
And when they got these hostages within hours before the IDF arrived, they were murdered. They were alive. And we should have been putting the gas on and accelerating 6 months ago after October 7th. And not this placating of making sure you stand humanitarian aid, make sure you funnel in more food and shelter, and make sure you hold off. No, if you had decimated what Hamas's stronghold was, it could have been over by now. But you were trying to threaten Israel with holding back arms, holding back weapons, holding back everything because you were strangling them to placate you. And at some point, Israel had to say, no, we are going to stand for ourselves because we're never again means never again. We're not going to sit back while the world tells us how to operate like they did in World War II. Don't do this and abandon us on ships when we were trying to be rescued or leave us in concentration camps. We know that the world will not stand by us. And if the United States turns its back on us now, so be it. We will stand alone.
Yes.
And they're the one freedom fighter in this world that is fighting terrorism that you don't see anywhere else in the world. It would be blatant chaos in the Middle East if it weren't for Israel. and because of Donald Trump with the Abraham Accords. Guess who else helped them when the airstrikes started? The UAE helped, Jordan helped, Saudi Arabia helped. Those alliances were made because of Donald J. Trump, not because of Joe Biden. Joe Biden would have let them sit there like sitting ducks and get dissolved and decimated because we didn't have the backbone or the spine, and we let the Hamas Democrats drive our agenda. The Rashid Tlaibs and the Ilhan Omars and all of those other chaotic ones, and even Bernie Sanders, who's a Jew in name only, for him to sit back and talk about ceasefires when Jews are being assassinated, killed, and mutilated and raped and burned in ovens. Every single decimation that you could have ever imagined on October 7th, and they're turning a blind eye and talking ceasefire? What the hell? Had those been all Americans right here in the World Trade Center, we wouldn't have said ceasefire. We would have gone back and said, we're cutting your throats now. You cut us, we cut you. I'm sorry. This is an eye for an eye where they are at right now, and that is exactly where the White House has failed Israel, consistently trying to tell them how to strong-arm them and hold them hostage, holding the entire Israeli country hostage, meanwhile funneling billions of dollars over to Iran and then pretending like, well, it's not Iran's fault that they're upset.
You are, by the way, we're joined by Gunnery Sergeant Jesse Jane Duff, 2024 Campaign Executive Director for Veterans for Trump and Trump spokesperson, Trump surrogate. You are a retired Gunnery Sergeant in the U.S. Marine Corps. There was a great little piece written by a buddy of mine, Eric Erickson, and he wrote today that the truth is that Russia was not advancing Ukraine when Trump was president, pausing their Obama-era gains until that country, until Trump left. Hamas was not killing Americans under the streets of Gaza when Trump was president. Would any of this be happening in the world if Trump was in office this past 4 years?
The 100% no, it would not be happening. But not only that, we have historical precedents where we know that weakness breeds weakness. We had Jimmy Carter that had let hostages fester in Iran for well over a year. And then the ticking clock started. This is before we had all these left-wing media groups that barely want to cover anything. I think it was Ted Koppel had the ticking clock on. I don't remember if it was ABC or CBS. And they had the ticking clock, how many days they were held hostage. And then how in the world is it when Ronald Reagan got elected and he was getting ready to step foot in that White House, they got released right before Ronald Reagan was sworn in? Why is that? Because they understand strength. When you're talking about terrorism, you're not talking about negotiations. There is no negotiating. Because at this point, how many peace offering deals have been sent over to Hamas? And then, of all people, Qatar. Qatar's engaged in this. Qatar, who is also a state sponsor of terrorism that plays both sides. So we've got Qatar trying to negotiate these peace deals, along with others that have nefarious agendas. We've got Egypt that has never taken a single Palestinian in to be a refugee because they know the Palestinians have created havoc. They know that Palestinians that once were taken in as refugees tried to kill the kingdom of Jordan, the king of Jordan. They have always been very radicalized. So Egypt won't take in any refugees, but they're telling the rest of the world how to negotiate, and yet they're the immediate border, and they have a wall and a fence and another wall up to prevent any Palestinians from coming over. So we are over here playing foot. We're playing basically a card game with Hamas, and that's not how they respond. Hamas is out to kill all of Israel and anybody that is defending Israel, which means Americans. These are not two-state solution responsibilities. Hamas wants Israel gone.
Yes.
Every single time that there's been a peace negotiation that's been handed over, Israel has often accepted it, and it's been Hamas that has rejected it. So what's going on? Ilhan Omar, you want to keep talking about a ceasefire? Then how come they haven't ceasefire?
They don't want to. They've rejected every deal that Netanyahu has said yes to with Biden, both of them in the past 6-8 months. Two quick questions before we go. I know you got to go and we got to go, but I'm going to ask you this question, but I'm going to start with some good news today. Supposedly the revered pollster from the left, Nate Silver, his forecast today is incredible. Trump 56%, actually almost 57% over Harris, 43% chance of winning. It's the highest since July 31st. Swing states, Pennsylvania, Trump up by like 17 or 14. It's insane as far as their chances of winning. Georgia, Trump has it by almost 30 freaking points. Arizona, Trump by 34. North Carolina, Trump by 40. These are the chances, right? Not the polls.
Yeah.
Nevada, Trump up by freaking 14. In Michigan, Harris wins by 2. I'm not surprised about that. Wisconsin, Harris by 6. I'm not surprised by that. As far as percentage chances, so odds by Polymarket too. Trump 51, Harris 47. The other question I'll caveat or put it with is, why is she, quote, beating Trump in the polls? Fox News Channel and Wall Street Journal the other day.
Well, the problem is that I would look at many of the polls that anything like Fox News puts out or New York Times puts out. Look at is it likely voters or is it registered voters? And then I would look at the split. Is it Democrat versus Republican? Then I would also look at what part of the country are they surveying. So these are very, very important details. Like if you're going to go survey Democrats in California and Republicans in California, you likely could get a different result than you would in, let's say, Oklahoma. So what type of audiences are they even surveying? That's why the polls were so wrong about Hillary Clinton. Keep in mind, Trump was never, ever, ever ahead in a single swing state in 2016, and he decimated her. She was crushed. Biden? And she sat back. Yeah, she was crushed in a manner where they were all sitting back going, oh, my God, we got to win this state. Okay, we could lose this one. You know, many people seen that video of the Young Turks where he's just freaking out because they had played into those polls. She's not winning in the bulk of these polls. She's barely pulling it out in Michigan and Wisconsin, which tells me there's a huge opportunity still there.
Yes.
And not only that, she continues to never disappoint us on the campaign. You have 735 or 40,000 veterans in Pennsylvania. The largest concentration of veterans in the nation are in Pennsylvania.
And 5% of the fracking industry is employed, and 5% of employees there are fracking.
But when you're talking 735,000 people that could be thoroughly pissed off on how you handled the Gold Star families, how you picked a stolen valor guy to be on your ticket.
Yes.
I mean, the list is endless. And how you let Afghanistan fall and said it was a success. 3 issues right there that veterans take very, very seriously, particularly those that have fought in some form of combat or knew somebody that did. So you've got over 600,000 veterans in each swing state. Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And those veterans, I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to be the ones that are going to bring this home. We have 200,000 veterans that signed up at the coalition that are signed up to help President Trump. 200,000. You know that's about 10 times higher than what we had in 2020. It's outrageous how many have signed up, and they can sign up at veterans.donaldjtrump.com, veterans.donaldjtrump.com, because this coalition is such a force. The population base is larger than your oil and gas. It's larger than any other coalition because the mere fact that it covers all races, creeds, colors, nationalities, and genders. And if you're not a veteran, often you're a military family member. And what she did to those Gold Star families only opened up a wound that happened in Afghanistan. She could have left that alone.
And she attacked Trump today for that. Yeah, unbelievable, horrible blunder. Gunnery Sergeant Jesse Jane Duff, Trump's surrogate, we appreciate you so much. Look forward to having you on again. And go Trump. We appreciate you.
All right. Take the hill. Thank you,
Amen.
Moderator.
There she goes. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the polling, where it's at, and lots more coming up on what are Trump's chances of winning today, right now. That is next. It's Chris KROK, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM 93.3. Coming up next, we're going to get into the polls. I got another brand new poll. So we have a brand new Trafalgar poll and a brand new Insider Advantage poll. This came in from the New York Post reporting this evening. It is not good news for Kamala. I think I told you. Well, I don't think I know. I've been telling you that she has the Jenga candidacy, where you pull enough little things from underneath it and it just collapses. We're going to be talking about that coming up next. Asking you some questions. For instance, what do you think are President Trump's chances of winning the election today, right now? How would you feel about abandoning the Electoral College vote? You'll hear the MSNBC people go nuts and say we need to ditch that, and instead letting the popular vote pick out our next president. And do you feel Trump is finally starting to get it with less personal attacks, or is it too late? We'll get into that coming up next at 3 minutes after the hour. It's Chris KROK Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM 93.3.